himself. That would have been catastrophic. He's got one.
He lost a tooth,
I think. You can actually see two of them. He's lost 2 teeth. You can see him come out there.
So he's lost his teeth.
Teeth or his mouth?
Oh, no, his tooth. His tooth's gone.
Right, so the search party's there.
Wow. And Adam Simpson bemoaning the lost opportunity. Elliot Yeo more concerned about the lost teeth.
and the dental appointments he's got in the next week or so.
We just got word too that Elliot Yeo, he didn't lose the whole tooth. He shaved off the end points of the 2 front teeth. So he's literally snapped the tooth in half. But they found the end bits. I'm not a dentist, Kingy, but they've got a job ahead of them putting them back on there.
It doesn't sound like a great result to me either way, dude,
No.
let's be honest.
I think he rates himself too with the look, so he's going to have to get that fixed pretty quick.
That's the other way.
That is a nasty business. Nasty.
You ever lose a tooth, Bomber?
Yeah, I lost one. Yeah, I seen it flying out like that.
Who got you? Can you remember, or was it just in the play?
No, I can't remember. It was Hawthorn. Yeah, semi-final, 1984.
Probably kicked you in the head.
Probably did. No one Dermot.
Probably Dermot.
Yeah, probably Dermot kicked me. Yeah.
Rowan Thompson, welcome. Paul Roos, hello.
Did he not have a mouth guard?
No.
Is that right?
He had it in his sock.
Oh, he did have it, but he didn't have it in his mouth. They're not
Was it
great in the
straight?
sock, though, are they?
They're not. They don't work as well.
They don't work as well.
What's it doing
There's
in
no
his
teeth
sock?
in your leg.
It's like a shin guard. You think it was a shin guard?
His tweet was very good, although it
was.
the 2 front teeth.
Yeah,
it was.
Is it compulsory? Should it be compulsory to have your mouth guard in?
I can't say 100%, but it should be. I mean, I think we addressed it a couple of times with our players, more in Sydney. I haven't spoken to the Melbourne boys about it, but...
I wouldn't even know, Roosy, how many of our boys...
No, I wouldn't, but I would have thought... I was surprised. I would think every player playing AFL football would have a mouth guard, but I suspect that's not the case.
Some people have respiratory problems and they can't breathe with the mouth guard in their mouth.
Yeah, I've heard that as a well, no excuse, but I've heard that as a reason before. But I always found that tightly fitted, I never had any problem.
Didn't you used to boil them in water? Even
well, you used to go to the dentist and they
did you?
Yeah,
And they're probably better made now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Did you ever boil your plastic one and then mould it and hold it up?
Yeah. They always used to fall out those ones.
Some people don't look any good without guards, you know. Some people don't. Yeah.
No.
The gummy ones.
The real big one.
How did the weekend off treat you? Did you need it? Did you feel a bit refreshed?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I feel really fresh. I had a lot of sleep and caught up on things. Had a pretty lazy weekend. It was fantastic.
Watch any footy?
Yeah, I did. Watch it. The best game for a long while was Hawthorn Port Adelaide. That was a sensational game of footy.
It was a cracker.
Yeah.
Do you look
fast?
Huh? Do you tell your players this is where we have to get to, or do you reckon they know that?
I reckon I'd know. Yeah. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
It is amazing how few players watch games, though. Like I've asked players, do you see that game of the weekend? I'm sure they watch some football, but players do like to get away from the game. And obviously, I mean, we'll show them a lot of vision during the week, and maybe that's sort of, in a strange way, that's their escape. But you would think, if it's a good game, Port versus Hawthorn, unless they've got something else on, you'd think, I'm going to watch this because this is the pinnacle of where we want to get to and how we get there. So you would hope that most AFL players would watch a game like that.
These are resilient, aren't they?
Who, Port?
No, both.
Hawthorn. Oh, yeah. I just like watching Port Adelaide play now. I just like watching them play. And so do their fans, don't they? They turn up.
Are they the benchmark at this time of the year?
Well, I think in some ways they are. I think the way they work really hard, Bomber. I mean, we're playing them this week. So.
I don't know. I was sitting there watching the TV and I was thinking, what do you do to beat this mob? Like, what is it that, you've got certain teams that you sort of, we'll attack that angle. Put Adelaide, I'm not sure.
I think they're really well balanced, aren't they? Yeah, well, hopefully we can find the formula. But when you're watching them and you're dissecting them, I think they're very well balanced. They've got a very good defence, good forward line, good midfield. So what you're saying, Bomber, just finding that weakness, is really hard because they've just got a really good level of consistency with all their players playing well. They're all fit. They're all really well prepared. So that's why they've only lost one game.
It's funny when we talk about Port, we talk about their running game, we talk about their skill level and balance. What no one ever talks about, they are ferocious at the contest. Yeah. And that's number one.
Yeah. I think they are number one in contested balls.
Yeah, they compete. Yeah. And we asked Kenny Inkley last week, what's your number one unconditionally? He said, every player must win their own ball. I go out and watch the game, Bomber, and I'm thinking, these guys are premiership ruthless. This is finals football. at going for the ball.
Well, Hawthorn had no time and space, particularly early, did they? I mean, which is unusual because the Hawks are normally good at just hitting that target and slowing the game down and
time to hit the target. They had no time. They were a bit shaky over there. Some of their kicking.
So what do you suggest? Can you tell us seriously? Tell us something.
Well, I think firstly,
how are you going to prepare to beat these people?
Firstly, what Ken's saying is right. Good teams have a foundation. They tackle well. They win the hard ball. So if you don't do that against any team, it's hard. But if you're not going to do it against Port, so you've got to be prepared to come and ready for a battle. You know, there's no question.
That's number one.
Number one. You've got to be prepared to come ready for a battle.
What's number two?
Well, run. I mean, they're a very good running side. So they're a two-way running side now, which is the benchmark of midfielders. You want your midfielders to run two ways, offensively and defensively. So your players have got to be prepared to put the skates on and run. You know, it's going to be a hard game. You know, and that's credit to Ken. And I think, I'm not sure whether I'm quoting him correctly, but I think he now knows that he's got a good team. He knows he's got a good team. I think what he did say, the best teams do it week in, week out over a period of time. So he knows when he turns up in the coach's box, he's got a good football team, and so he should. He does have a good football team.
Look forward to seeing how you
Good luck, Roosy.
Yeah. Well, because someone's got to break it down, and you've been able to do it with your team. You haven't got all the skills. We know that, but you've got that defensive side working for you.
Well, I think, look, for us, it's just continuing to concentrate on what we're doing. You know, we're a long way behind Port, but in what Ken's saying is right. We're trying to do, and Bombers trying to do, win the contested ball, put pressure on the opposition, and that's the baseline of a team. And then your team will fluctuate, given your talent level and injuries and where you're at and all those sorts of things. But we're just trying to do what they're doing really well.
He'll be earning his cash this week, Bomber. Earning his cash.
Yes.
We look forward to the insights next week after you've seen them firsthand. All right, just a couple of the specifics out of the weekend. How fine the line is it with Gary Ablett here? He's not a man who usually vents the frustration.
Does that help his cause at all?
It wouldn't have if he'd got him flush in the nose.
It was very close, wasn't it?
I think the angle you can't really tell, but I suspect there's no intent to hit him in the head. I mean, probably all.
How can you say that?
No, well, I'll finish. I think we've all who's played football have thrown the arm back in frustration. But I'm not sure there's too many players that have played have gone to whack someone in the beak or anything like that. I mean, there's a couple, and we've probably all played with and against those. But I wouldn't have thought Gary's that type of player to do that. Frustration, throw the elbow back, and look, the camera angle, I didn't think showed exactly where it hit.
No, it wasn't conclusive.
So I don't think anyone's surprised that he would have got off.
Are you happy he did?
You'd be dirty if it was one of yours, though. And he did go, like the same instant. Oh,
yeah.
What if Pegan did that to Gaza?
Yeah, he would have gone.
So that's all right. That's what comes into your head.
Yeah, it does.
If Campbell Brown did it, he'd be gone. Well, you're a
Campbell definitely be gone.
Yeah, you're a habitual. You shouldn't be throwing your elbows back.
Well,
I think we look at players differently.
Yeah, well, but to be fair, I think we do criticise their match review panel at times. I think to be fair to them, the vision I've seen, unless there's a different angle, is not that clear. So.
He is the fairest player in that. Like, he's just so fair. He's never really.
Yeah, and that's where the benefit of the doubt comes in. I wouldn't have thought the benefit of the doubt would come in if we got a flush view of Gary, elbowing in. And I'm not suggesting that happened, but the camera angle, gives benefit of the doubt to Gary, and I think that's fair enough.
What about buyer's remorse? A decision that you make and it doesn't quite pan out. And I wonder whether Brenton Sanderson's been feeling that with his decision to sub Ben Rutten at three-quarter time, and his matchups didn't quite work the way they had, and Rutten had played well until then.
They sent Pods back.
Do these ones keep you awake at night if they don't quite pan out?
We've never made them. Never. They would.
There is a lot of debate about the sub-bomber, isn't it? I don't know what it's like in your box. There is a lot of debate, and it is hard. I mean, we did it, I think I said after we'd subbed Dom Tyson off against the Gold Coast Suns, and I said after the game it was a mistake. But in the heat of the battle, when you're discussing it with who's healthy, who can we...
When do you do it? About, 15-minute mark, third quarter?
Yeah, I reckon probably 10 minutes to go normally, and you start talking about it. But the danger is, I think we've done it. We've almost done it a couple of times, and then all of a sudden someone's gone down with what seems like an injury, and then you're trying to pull it, and thankfully it hasn't been an injury. So there's a lot of talk about in the box.
Were you right to make Carlisle the sub, looking back?
Yeah, no.
You still comfortable?
Yeah, very comfortable, yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't know what else to say, Mark.
You answered the question perfectly, Tom. It's good to see you happy again. I thought you were going to be a bit snarly before you went on the break.
I was tired.
The interaction between Nick Maxwell and Alex Solo, in a way, this is what we asked you about with Joe Watson and Dyson Heppel a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. When you look at this, it's so demonstrative. It is beyond what's norm. Are you comfortable with that as a coach?
I am, because he's just playing to win, this guy. He's an ex-captain, and he played a great game. They had a couple of tall defenders down, and he was on. They got up and won, and it was a good victory for them.
And I think, I mean, if Fasolo doesn't react to that, I think he probably understands the manner.
He was a bit shocked.
Yeah, well, I think he understands the manner in which it's given. Maxwell's obviously very well respected at Collingwood, ex-captain.
Fasolo's played 3 games defence.
Yeah.
Maxwell's been playing defence for 9 years. He's just given him a hurry on, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what he actually said, but I would have thought, you know,
get somewhere near your man or something.
Yeah, don't do that again, or we don't do that down here, or
I thought it was fantastic.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was great to watch.
Maxwell and Shaw a couple of years ago walking to the huddle.
Yep.
So he just must be a player that just expresses himself and.
But it's big business. These are big games.
These are serious stakes.
We are playing, we are watching, and you're coaching, and these guys are playing AFL footy.
I don't want to bring this up on me, but Brett Kirk, who kicked the goal when we played you guys in the...
Nick Davis.
Yeah, he went up to Nick Davis and he grabbed him. Yeah, because his opponent kicked the goal. You'd never want to remember
in the centre of the ground.
In the centre of the ground.
You owe us.
Yeah, went and grabbed him and said, you owe us.
I was talking about the other goal, Roosie. The one that got you in the ground.
It had an immediate... So you'd rather them actually do it on the field rather than wait to Monday's review and say, oh, look, you should have done that, because sometimes, I don't know what Nick said, but in the case of Brett, it had an immediate response from Nick Davis, and we end up winning an incredibly important game, obviously. So
people who care. Who cares?
That's right, exactly.
How did you look in on the Jack Riewoldt kerfuffle, and what's privileged information and what rankled the coach?
Yeah, I wasn't comfortable with Jack. I thought Damien's response was... I thought his line was fantastic.
Foot out of his bum.
Foot out of his mouth and his bum. And look, I think Jack would know, and probably one of those things where it comes out and someone explains it to you afterwards. Geez, why'd you say that? And so I thought it was well handled by Damien and the club, and the fact that I don't think they needed to drop him. I think, I think the statement was made by the club, and then Jack obviously came out and played particularly well. So I thought it was a messy situation turned into a good situation.
Done a bit of extra training to run to the train station. That was
amazing footage.
Bit rare, wasn't it?
Everyone will look back at it and laugh. Have you spoken to Cameron Ling about joining you at Melbourne?
No, I haven't. I mean, we haven't spoken to anyone at the moment. So
you're going to speak to Bomber?
Look, I think there'll be a list of names that come up. I mean, the biggest thing, what we have discussed, is the list has to include people that want to do the job, because I think you can put these huge lists together, but the first list would be large, I would imagine. The next list would be, OK, can we find out who actually wants to do the job?
OK, Cameron Ling was...
Brett Kirk,
Look at small too.
Well, there's a lot of names, and I sit here honestly saying we have not spoken to anyone, and what we will do is put a list together, and then, as I just suggested, the list will then be culled to the people that actually are interested, and then you start to make some inquiries.
I asked him who's going to be the next coach, and look what he wrote. What do you got me in trouble?
You couldn't go wrong with Lingy either, though. If you had,
did you hear Lingy over the weekend?
This was what Cameron Ling said when it was raised with him on 3AW.
Middle of the season now, where I need to start thinking about what I'm going to be doing in my future. I need to start thinking about what I'm going to do with my family, a young family, and all those different things. So I've got some decisions to make. But at this point in time, I'm not lying. I'm not trying to deflect anything. I've consciously not thought about it at all so far this season.
So a decision for you, though, is going to be made mid-season?
I'm not saying I'll make the decision. From now on, I'm really going to start thinking about it and start talking to some people and start having some conversations with my family as well and see where they're placed.
So do you view Ling as a coach?
I think he's a good commentator. I think he'd be a better coach. I can't praise him enough for being an on-field coach and really being a total pro and knowing a lot about the game. He used to drive the standards at Geelong.
Was he like an assistant coach on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's got to make a decision because it goes to lifestyle and it goes to professional ambition. Yeah. That's not an easy decision to make, is it?
Then it goes to something else called... I really want to do it.
Yep.
And you can't stop yourself from doing it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that was you this year.
Yeah.
I think deep down you didn't want to, but you couldn't stop yourself.
Yeah.
I wrote a piece a couple of weeks ago saying how great you used to get on this show and talk and hold hands before the show and stuff. and I just posed the question, James Hurd's returning to Essendon, he will be coach. As Mark Thompson has got the ambition to coach again, here's the situation. I know that Melbourne aren't closing the door on anyone.
No.
Like, it'd be foolish to suggest that Mark Thompson's name's not on the Melbourne coaching list if you're only going to coach for perhaps 3 years.
That's list, a long time.
Yeah, the first list is a huge list.
Is he on it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is he on the second list?
Well, we haven't got the second list yet, so...
You're on it.
I'm on it.
Cash.
He's on your last list.
No, well, there's going to be a lot of options in there.
What about the third year, Roosie? Have you committed to the third year?
No, I haven't. I mean, I read a headline about that. What I was sort of saying was that I won't coach after 3 years, and I think that was taken as, I mean, it's 2 plus 3. What I have spoken to the club about as recently as today is just talking about, look, I like to stay involved. I'm really enjoying the involvement. That's not as a coach post the third year if I do the third year, but I really feel I'm enjoying the club. I've some good people around the club. Hopefully everyone sees us heading in the right direction. So
are you heavily invested in this club, Roosie? And I know it might sound silly. You've been there for 10 games, but you love footy. We all know you love footy. You're in with everything you've got at this football club.
Yeah.
So starting something,
Yep.
Are you the kind of guy... You played a long time at Fitzroy, you played a long time at Sydney. You're the kind of guy to jump up after 2 years and go and let go?
What I'm saying now is, and as Bomber talked about it before, to be the senior coach, you have to want to be the senior coach. Yeah. Part of me coming back was in a role that was going to involve succession. I still believe in it. I've seen it work. But I'm invested in the club, and that's why we've already started talking about it's not going to be as a senior coach, whether that's the 3rd or 4th year, but I'd certainly love to stay involved in some capacity because I believe in the direction of the club. I believe in what Peter Jackson's doing. I believe in the player group and where they're trying to head the
And you like winning.
Club. And
you like doing things
and
well.
you like seeing things out, and you like getting to the... Not to the end point, not that there's ever an end point in football, because football's going to go on longer than us.
Will you consider it if they came to your bum?
No, I got no idea, mate. Yeah.
Right,
I couldn't go. He couldn't be there, Robbo.
What? With you there? The 2 bulls?
We can't.
Why
the
not?
2 bulls.
Yeah, the 2 bulls and the 1 penny.
Dreamtime of the G is the 10th anniversary, Bomber.
This is a good jumper, isn't it?
Yeah, the Indigenous jumpers are
I think they all look fantastic.
I think Navrat's cousin designed that jumper, which is a pretty good...
Nathan Lovett Murray, that is?
Yeah, Nathan Lovett Murray. So...
They're all
the boys
good jumpers, aren't they?
Yeah, they are really nice.
You going to be ready this week, Bomber?
Absolutely ready, mate. Yeah, I think we'll be a lot more ready.
What can you tell? I know we've got to go, but what's different back at the club this week with the players than probably lose? What did you lose? 4 in a row? Is it 4 in a row?
Lost 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
Then won 1 and then lost 1. No, hang on, what do we do? Lost 2, then won 2 and then lost 1. Not bad form.
Not bad form?
Not disastrous form.
Big game this week?
Big game, very important game. 4, make it 5-5.
All right, we'll see you at the MCG. Good luck in Alice.
See ya.
Nice to have you with us. All right, so Paul Roos and Mark Thompson with us on 360, and on the couch tonight, the Giants coach Leon Cameron, who suddenly has a great deal of questions before him.